This is 37th Street Radio and TV, and of course, we're out here hooking you up with the best of the best when it comes to guests. And today we have another special guest. So, guest, please just introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Kenbeda. I am, among other things, a stand-up comedian. I'm in the hospitality business, and I also work in advertising. Those are just some of the things I do. I also own a gym, a fitness club, and yeah, that's basically the gist of Kenbeda.
Yeah, you do a lot of things. Even from your Instagram, I was able to see fitness, hospitality, advertising. We also have comedy. So I'm really I really want to know what came first in your life.
Well, from those things, I'd say the comedy. Let's say the comedy came first, because as far as I can remember, I was the class clown. I got many ass whoopings from teachers for being just that. So yeah, I think I would say the comedy came first.
So I mean, I'm really interested to know, like, at that time, did you think that maybe this is something that you would do it professionally as a career, or you are just like, you know, being a comedian, we are both, I think you are also part of the 844 system, and you just know how the 844 system is. You have said they look at you as a clown. Now, why don't you just be attentive? Why don't you just listen? So at that time, did you think that maybe this is something you will pursue, or you even didn't like it, that you had this gift at that time?
It was definitely not in any visions of my future. Back then, I think the only well-known comedians from Kenya were ridiculous, and even what they were doing, it didn't seem possible for anyone else. But even if you asked me 3 years ago if I would be doing comedy professionally, I would say you're mad. But I think the the thing that made me start doing comedy professionally was seeing these stand-up comedy collectives pop up in Nairobi, like Stand-up Collective, Punchline Comedy Club, and also when I left my advertising job and came to run this hotel with my parents, I realized at that point I had no public speaking skills. So I took it upon myself to challenge myself to at least try an open mic night. And to my surprise, people laughed at some dumb jokes that I wrote, and that was the rest was history. I just started performing a little bit more consistently, although I haven't gotten much stage time. I've gotten enough to the point where I feel comfortable, going on stage every now and then.
Doing this, we have just talked about you doing a couple of things and also comedy. So all these things that it occurs to me that you have a job that you are doing, and also you have a comedy that which is your gift. So how was it choosing? How do you choose what to do, like in terms of allocation of time?
Well, the reason I quit my advertising job in Nairobi was to spend more time with family. I went to school in a different country and came back straight into employment. But when I was employed, it was like I was still in a different country because I never used to see my family. I used to spend all my time working. So I'm big on just maintaining family ties, and for me that was one of the biggest motivations to quit my job and join our family business. Um, and also what came with that was, now the freedom to be able to control my time how I want. I got time to ask myself what do I want to do really with my life now that I'm in control of my time. So that's what led to the opening of the gym that I own, and also I also have a nightclub that I intended to be a comedy club, although that was before I'd done the market research in this small town I'm situated in, Boy. But maybe in time it will turn into that. But that leaving employment was the thing that enabled me to take control of my time and really ask myself what are the things I want to spend my life doing. So that's how comedy, fitness came about.
I really want to know what's the experience of quitting employment, because like in this Kenyan, our culture, if you say you are quitting a job, people look at you and like, are you mad or something? So for you, you're talking about quitting your job. So I just want to know the reception with your family and friends. How did they look at it? Or you just did it silently, nobody even noticed? How was it at that time?
Yeah, well, close friends knew. Some friends actually tried to talk me out of it. But for me, with making a living, it's something that you need to get some fulfillment out of. And at that time, I was in a good job. I was getting paid the amount of money I wanted, but I would sometimes I would sleep in the office. Like I'd work weekends. I basically had no time to myself. And when you look at the clients that I had, they weren't really companies that were helping the world be better in any way. Like I remember my main clients were like Prestige Margarine, Darling Hair, um, well, Kenchip, you could say they provide food, but the time I was spending, I was asking myself, what am I doing getting home at 3 a.m. just to make some ads for Prestige Margarine? This is not even, it's not like an essential for life. It's not something that is making people's lives really, much better. So that was the initial thought process. I wanted to spend my time in something I can be okay with putting this is something you're dedicating your life to if you're making a living. So back then, some friends were a bit wary, and but my parents are actually the ones who talked me to, quitting my job, because they also they had just started this hotel here, and they needed the help of someone they could trust. So it took them around 2 years to talk me into seeing the utility of joining them.
Yeah, and then when it comes to comedy, is stand-up collective like the first opportunity that you got, or how was it now starting to pursue this dream professionally?
Yeah, well, now when I made my move here, I remember I was in the first staff meeting. Now I had employees. Back then I was an employee. But in the first staff meeting, I remember just stumbling on my words and realizing I've never really had any skill of talking to a big group of people. And that's the first time I was like, I need to do something about this. I need to work on my public speaking skills. So I Googled, stand-up comedy in Kenya. I didn't want to do the Churchill kind of comedy, because I feel they mostly focus on stereotypes, which I don't. There's nothing wrong with that, but I like the more American kind of stand-up comedy. That's the one I grew up watching. The likes of Akina Chris Rock, Akina Dave Chappelle, George Carlin. So when I Googled stand-up comedy in Kenya, I found Dog Mutai, who is the founder of Stand-up Collective, and I sat down with him. I also started a comedy night at my club here in Voi, and I got some local comedians to gather here. And after talking to Dog, I realized that I needed to have some experience for myself, so that I can't just be directing comedians when I don't even know what the whole business is about. So that also prompted me to try the first open mic that I went to, which
we were just still talking about your journey in comedy, and there's something that I really want to ask you, and I really want to know your views about the state of comedy in Kenya. Do you think opportunities like stand-up collective, these are opportunities that are opening, they are opening up the Kenyan mindset and also the Kenyan creatives? Because you have just talked about how in Churchill, and also this is the biggest platform we have always known in comedy in Kenya. And we are not, I'm not trying to be a hater or something, but their jokes are about maybe, I come from this community, they do this, and then people laugh. I come from this community, they love money, and then people laugh. So do you think like these opportunities like stand-up collective are really opening the Kenyan mind to different types of comedy that is not just the regular clowning that we have been seeing over the years?
Yes, definitely. Like you say, they play on many stereotypical tropes in the Churchill kind of comedy, which, like I said, comedy is a reflection of the people who practice it. Not saying that, not trying to invalidate that kind of comedy, but it's what we've seen since comedy started in Kenya. And I think the new kind of comedy you're starting to see now is more introspective. It deals more with people's day-to-day lives, and you're seeing all kinds of different voices do it, all kinds of personalities that come from all areas of Kenya. And these are people who speak just how we're talking right now. There's no, like I remember the last Churchill I watched, everyone had like an accent, but it's not the accent they usually talk with. It's like there's some guy had a Jaluo accent, some guy had a Kamba accent, but it's rare you find someone who talks on stage on Churchill the way they talk in real life. So what you're getting now is a richer, if you, from my personal opinion, it's a richer perspective of what Kenyan day-to-day life, from people talking about their relationships, people talk about all kinds of topics that every other Kenyan is familiar with. So I definitely think it's a vehicle for promoting progressive thought, and just getting normal people to get involved in these day-to-day topics that are in all of our lives.
Having watched some clips, do you think that maybe from your interactions with the stand-up collective guys, do you really think that these artists or these creatives, if given just a little time or some years, when they continue familiarizing with their stuff, do you really think that they can compete now on a global market and maybe just go even to a country like Nigeria and just get jokes that people will really see their talent? Do you really think that maybe they can compete globally if given time and the proper mentorship?
Oh yes, definitely. I think Stand Up Collective started sometime in late 2017, early 2018 there. And back then, if you compare the same comedians back then and now, there's already a huge level of progression. Back then, there were some comedians, you'd go to a comedy night that's a paid show, and probably some comedians will be hit or miss. But right now, they are like absolute killers. There are people who are already touring the country just doing comedy, and up there. You know, their jokes are really well written and well thought out. So if you know, even where we are now, back in 2018, I used to think it's like we're like 5 years away, but we're already at a point right now where we can. There's some comedians who can headline. You know, we already have Ty with the Ty Ngashira with the TMI show on NTV. So that's also a big step. You know, I didn't expect us any of these comics to get a show that soon on national TV, and yet they already are. So if you ask me, we already have world-class comedians, but you know, this is a skill that grows over time like any other. And I think given the current trajectory, it's just a matter of time before we start seeing like a good number of Kenyan comedians doing international shows.
Yeah, and what about from you also just observing the industry in terms of comedy? I want to know what you have observed and what you really think can change so that we can even start getting international platforms and just using those platforms to just shine and tell our stories in a funny way and people just enjoying. What do you think should change maybe?
Well, from my own experience, I've noticed Kenyans like a big name, that you know, a big brand name that they can identify easily. So even right now, as much as these guys like Stand Up Collective and Punchline Comedy Club are doing amazing things, the regular Kenyan will still opt to watch like a Churchill or a Eric Omondi. And so I think it's just a matter of time before now you start seeing, even like with like I say, with the TMI show on NTV, it's a matter of time before now this new breed of comics gets known to the point where people are asking for them in Kenya the way they ask for like Eric Omondi or Churchill. It's all this is it's just time and consistency. So I think just given how the shows are happening regularly and you're starting to see these names on the TV now, people are posting their clips of their sets online. Slowly by slowly, you start to see Kenyans getting more familiar and expecting that higher caliber of comedy.
Yeah, and we have talked about you doing a couple of things, and I don't know, you know, they usually say that a jack of all trades, a master of none. So maybe are you not afraid of something like this becoming your reality?
Yeah, well, I'm aware of that quote, but I think even that quote there's a longer version, which a jack of all trade, a master of none is better than I can't remember the exact full quote, but it implies that you'd rather be a jack of all trades than have nothing at all. What from my experience, I think we're shifting from this age of specializing in one thing. I think we're going into an age of I call it the age of aggregators. You know, people who are good at a variety of things and find a way to uniquely combine all those aspects into what they do. So you can find someone who maybe is a music producer, shoots music videos, is also an artist, has done some artist management. That's someone who can pivot into any, first of all, there's so much automation happening in the technology space. So even if you specialize, it doesn't buffer you from losing your job or losing a space in employment. So I think what's the most valuable skill is going to be the people who can aggregate all these the variety of skills they accumulate over time into something unique that only they can offer. So I don't prescribe to being a master of none as a bad thing. For me, it's I think it's been a favorable outcome in my life, just to be able to experiment in different things and find out which combination of things works best for me.
Yeah, from your background, we can even see Beda Consultancy. I can see, I don't know, it is Angola Lounge or something.
Yeah,
so
Angola Lounge. Yeah.
You can just talk to us about what's that all about, Beda Consultancy? Like, what do you deal with? The services that maybe you offer, you can tell us about that.
With the consultancy, I offer the full scope of advertising services, from media buying to to strategy to execution of strategy to designing campaigns, basically providing content for companies, basically the full advertising spectrum. Yeah.
As we are finishing up, I would just like you to share with us the most important lessons that you have learned from your working days, from this creative journey that we are talking about, and just your experiences in life. Share with us the lessons that you have learned, and you can even advise somebody if maybe they approach you.
Most important lessons I've learned. For me, this is that's a very subjective question. But like, speaking from my experience, I think being true to myself is something that I've really taken seriously since my university days. Really digging deep, and because it's not easy to articulate, let alone even identify your motivations for life, the reasons why you do things. These are, people expect it to just be like you go into your head and you think and you're like, okay, voila, this is what I want to do. But from my experience, more often than not, your first explanation for something you did is usually not the right one. Like, you really have to dig deep to find out to find out the true motivation of your actions. And you have to use the same process also to find who you really are and who you are, the things you're inclined to do. And for me, being true to that, despite the noise outside of you, that's been a maxim that I've lived by, and it's the thing that has informed most of my decisions. I at least I can see, even though I'm right now I'm at the mercy of my own effort. I'm not paid a salary every month, but I can sleep at night knowing what I'm doing, what I'm putting my time into is something that fulfills me, and is something that I'm completely okay with having dedicated my life to. So that would be the biggest advice I would give anyone. Just find a way to be true to yourself. Just find a way to sleep at night and be happy with every decision you make.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us your time. We really wish you all the best.
It's my pleasure, man.
Thank you.